to Kerbal Space Program here with New Sunrise. So, our main thing that we're going to try and do today is get started on some kind of orbital space station. Because we need a place that our SSTO workhorse ships can go and restock and fuel and stuff. Ideally, though, I've also installed a little new mod, which sort of builds on what Kethane does, in that it gives us the ability to mine ore, which we can then turn into metals and such, and rocket parts. And we can then actually build launch pads elsewhere, and then actually launch things from them, which means that we don't have to always launch from Kerbin, and always have to push through that very irritating pea soup layer of the atmosphere. Now, as I figure it, the best place for us to stick such a satellite is at an altitude of 2,868 kilometers, which is roughly, I think that's about halfway between Kerbin and the Moon, and orbiting at a speed of 1,009 meters per second, which we can get to fairly cheaply from a 70-kilometer orbit, so that's what we'll be aiming for first. But first we need to actually build the ship that we're going to send it out on, and I think we will just use the Kerbal 10 launcher, because that's pretty reliable and pretty powerful. But of course we're going to have to change it up a bit, because we've got this big lander segment up here that we are not going to need. And so let's detach that. Let's take a Stay-Putnik, which is somewhere in there, I can only presume. I can't see it. There it is, okay. And up. And let's load the Kerbal Geostationary Station 1 central tank. I also did a bit of work on the K-Hunter, which we'll show in a moment. Okay, connect that. And that. And that gets us our launch vehicle and our initial station part. So this first station part is just a bunch of docking ports, a bunch of attachment system ports, and a big Kethane tank, as well as a electric generator in case those solar panels, for whatever reason, aren't helping out. So, pretty good. It's got a sizable battery, it's also got some SAS there, and a large one down here, so it's actually fairly mobile when we want it to be, and fairly stationary when we definitely don't want it to be. And let's lift this up whilst it's still in the ground. I don't know actually if it makes any difference that these are in the ground or not, but I try to avoid them being there. So let's take a look at our staging. We need to shift these down. I don't quite know why the K10, the Kerbal 10, has the these and the actual rockets separate from it in the staging, but it does, and it's annoying. So let's keep that. We can keep these two separate because that might be helpful. Okay, now for the parts, we've got here the Kerbal Rocket Workshop. The mod I should mention is the Extraplanetary Launchpads mod. Don't download it from the main, what's it called, the Launchpad? No, that's not, it says, there's an official main hub for Kerbal mods, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but don't download the version there, because it does not work very well in the new version, as I found out while installing it. But this thing doesn't really do much, as near as I can tell. But if we head over to structural, we find these two. There's a runway to build space planes, and a actual launch pad. Now, worth noting is that these can actually launch either one. It doesn't really matter, but of course you're going to have better shots like launching rockets from this one and launching space planes from these ones, just by virtue of the geometry on them. They're a little annoying to set up as well. This one I don't think has a texture. Or it doesn't seem to, as far as I can tell. But the launcher here is pretty stable as it is. It's also, however, extremely heavy. I'm probably going to have at least one of these on KGS1, but probably that's going to be the second thing I'd say I send up. Maybe we'll get to that in this episode. I'm not 100% certain, but we will find out. So we've got our KGS1 launcher, thanks to Subassembly. And we've got all of our stages set up, so let us attempt a launch. I probably should have looked at all of the Delta V's in that staging. Oh well. Here we go anyways. So the main idea is we send this one pod up first, and then we start sending up other pods to build into. Of course it's managed to crash. I don't quite know why it does that, but it does. Back in a moment. And we're back. So, yeah, Kerbal is still a fairly early game, and there are quite a few bugs. But I have managed to reassemble our machine here, so let us see if we can launch it. So we need thrust up, SAS on. I did reset the staging here, good. Okay, and we've got orbital display up on our flight engineer, so launching. Okay, and we're stable. We're staying pretty stable there at 0 degrees. Our liquid fuel in tanks is running low. We need to ditch those as we go. And down. Okay, Apoapsis side is climbing nicely. I would be tempted to time warp this, but I've had bad experiences with that while I was testing. Because as I've previously mentioned, when you start time warping, the physics equations go very wonky, which eventually means that things go very deadly. I've installed a new mod here, which is Extraplanetary Launchpads, which allows us to launch things from different locations than just Kerbal Space Center. So you may be noticing a bit of a pattern with the mods that I'm installing. I'm trying to install as few mods as possible, but the mods that I am installing at the moment are mostly sort of in the vein of features that feel like they should be in the game already, or will eventually be. In the Subassembly, for example, is actually planned to the best of my knowledge. Yeah, that's the Apoapsis height climbing quite nicely there. But for whatever reason aren't. So we've got Kethane, we've now got Launchpads, we've got the Flight Engineer, which is so very helpful. A lot of people like to use MechJet because you can do a lot of things autonomically for that, but I did try installing it, but I'm not too fond of it. It kind of takes out too much of the fun, I would say. Although, that said, there has been a recent innovation in the mod world of Kerbal Space Program, which is known as the Kerbal Operating System, I think. Which is we have our drone units right now. We've got the Stay Putnik at the top here, but it doesn't really do much other than let us control things without having a crew member around, as long as there's electrical charge. KOS lets you add this sort of codable pack, and I need to shut down because we are way ahead of where I want it to be. Curse my ability to talk. Add a maneuver, and let's orient that a bit more. Okay, and let's also zoom out. How much time do I have here? 1 minute. Okay. That's fine, I can work with that. We need an orbit here. Ooh, that's a big orbit. Let's take a look at that. Jeez, okay, that's a lot bigger than I need. So let's shrink that. 209, 57, 54, now let's zoom that way. 76, 225, that'll do. Okay, so where do we need to be pointed? We need to be pointed to our right. Unfortunately, this thing turns like a tank, so this is going to take a little bit. Because for whatever reason, the Kerbal 10 launcher does not come with any RCS. Which is really painful. Some test versions I used had more of these advanced SAS modules, so you could turn it better on its own impulse, but not so much right now. Slow. Move back, you idiot. Come on. Stop. 12 seconds to burn. How are we for the Delta... Oh, no, wait, we've got another stage there. Derp. I always read the top number and I don't realize that there's more to it. Okay, burning. Now. Okay, come on. Stay reasonably on target. Okay, we're doing alright. We're fine. It's just a little rocket science. It's still good. Okay. We're going to be running out of fuel in this stage very soon, but that's fine. Because we do have another. And this one is now a lot easier to actually maneuver as well. Okay, so how are we doing? orbit is expanding. Fantastic. And we're going to have quite a bit of extra delta V, so we should be fine once we finish this. And then we need to position for probably more of a burn than we can actually manage, but we don't need to be perfect. We just need to be there, more or less, and then we can just start building it. And we can send a rocket up later, so shift it about if we need to. Okay. Right, we need about half. We're going to be burning through about half of our remaining delta V here. But we are getting there. This thing burns really slowly comparatively. Bring that up so I can see it. Okay. Let's hide that for a moment because that's a little bit in the way. Okay. Expanding, expanding, expanding. And we're nearly there. Okay. So, the Extraplanetary Launchpads mod. It adds ores that are sort of like the way we're mining Kethane right now. And, yep, we're expanding. And we have an orbit. Huzzah! And once it's above 30,000, it'll stop actually being brought down by the atmosphere, but we'd like it to be higher than that. Let's burn it a little bit more there. Okay, that should do. Right, so now we have an orbit, which is decent on both sides. And now we need to add maneuvers to increase these to their numbers, so we need... Well, this will read 2 million, but it'll be about 2 kilometers. Okay, that's way too much. 2 million... 804, 826, 842, 873, we'll take that. That seems good enough. Okay, and now we need to turn towards that. We are not going... oh no, we will have the delta V for this, that's good. Okay. We will have very little left at the end of it, but the second part is a lot cheaper than the first, so... Okay. So it adds ore. There is a big difference in the scale between the Extraplanetary Launchpads mod and the Kethane mod, but so I may have to build dedicated rovers to go and mine that stuff instead of having the units that we're using for Kethane right now. But it's like one of the great things about having the Launchpads mod is you get the ore, you mine that out like the Kethane, you take that to a smelter which turns it into metal and you turn that into rocket parts and all sorts, and then you can use that at the launchpad along with various fuels which you can make from Kethane and electric charge, which we can just get from just get from like giant solar panels and stuff. The Gigantors, which are really annoying, I've noticed. They're very flimsy. I've had to pretty much redesign the converter module. And then you click on the launch pad. You don't go into the launcher or anything and select a different location. I don't know if that's planned, but that would be handy. You have to click on the launch pad for it. You select what you want from either the spaceplane hangar or the vehicle assembly building. Whoop, cut. Let's take a look. And, ooh, we are a bit out, aren't we? Well, that went a bit wonky. But that's fine. We can just fix that when we get there. So we need to add a maneuver here to circularize our orbit. So let's see, that is 280, but we need it to be much larger than that. Let's take a look at our orbit. Inclination. Is that the one we're looking for? Not sure. One of these will show me how circular it is, but I don't know which one it is offhand. Okay, hide that for the moment. It's going to take a while for us to get there anyway, so I've got plenty of time to fiddle with this. 1,000... 2, there we go. Okay. As long as we have an orbit, we can come and meet up with it later. 2474. 2619. And that would put the apoapsis at a number I can't read because of that. Yeah, we can sort that out when we get over here, suffice to say. It's a great thing about when you have an orbit. When you have an orbit, you can just sit and leave something for later, because it'll just spin, basically. Unless, of course, it's on like an exit trajectory or some kind. But well, I suppose if you're on an exit trajectory, you're not on an orbit anymore, are you? Derp. Okay, now let's find where we need to be. Pointing. There we are. Is that where we need to be? No, I think that might be the opposite. I've made that mistake before today, so kind of avoiding that. I need names on these things. Like, you should be able to highlight them, and it'll show you that name. Because I can't remember I can't remember what the difference is between prograde and whatnot in the icons. But that's actually not showing me another marker, so I guess it is that one. Okay. I recall them being different, I recall there being two, but they don't appear to be showing up, so oh well, we'll take that one. Okay, so with this is going to require 413. We only have 117. So our orbit isn't going to be perfect, but we can sort that out later, because it's a small thing, and when you're in space there isn't really any drag, so we just need to shoot some stuff up, connect it, and see how things go. That's going to take an hour and 30. Right, so, yeah, if I put an Extraplanetary Launchpads, a launchpad or a runway, probably a runway, from what I'm about to think of, on, say, the moon, then I can build a K-Hunter there. And the K-Hunter is a lot more stable now, by the way. In fact, while we wait, I will go to the Space Center and we shall take a look. Because it's an hour there, so it's not going to mind too much. So let's see, K-Hunter 1, there you are. So just see what's been happening over here. I set this up near the runway. I did build a tank for carrying Kethane that the K-Hunter can theoretically pick up, but I haven't actually tried doing anything with that yet. So over here we have Harstad, once again, and we've got the mining units drilling away. We've got this revised converter unit. I may just make a rover, because it is such a pain to move those around. And then for some reason this unit only works when it's picked up. I've put it down a few times and then it just stops finding any Kethane. Now it actually has some. And yeah, so there we go, and that's all mining away happily, and I can use one of these to hook it up to whatever spaceplane I happen to have over here, and it'll work just happily. But yeah, you can see the main differences I did with the revision of the K-Hunter from the previous version, which one person called the Dancer, rather appropriately, is I replaced most of the spine with these girders, which are a lot more stable, and I reinforced it with a bit more with sort of vertebrae, so it's a lot more stable now, and I raised the winches, so they're on these kind of like lines here. You may have spotted that when I was in the subassembly part, because that's one of the spine pieces. And those just winch down, hook up to those, pick them up, take them wherever they want, and they're fine. But the problem I kept having is actually relevant now, because the damn Gigantors have gone away. Grr. So these are going to be running out of power. Or they would be if they were actually trying to collect anything right now. But the K-Hunter itself doesn't actually have a power supply. Well, actually it has that's a bit of a lie. It does have these little radioisotopes at the back. But the units themselves don't. They have these tiny little photovoltaic cells, which is why we need the main power thing. But the Gigantors are stupidly fragile. It's like if I had them hooked up here, and if I drove forward, like even the slightest tap of W, they would just splinter off, even when closed. It was horrendous. So yeah, I may just have to redesign it somehow. Manage to get a decent, stable version of the micros going. That's the 2 version, so evidently that needs work as well. But yeah, that's how that's going. So everything there is working quite nicely. Let's hit the Space Center, and we'll see about finishing off this orbit, and we'll call it a day. And then next episode we'll play around with the launch pads, see if we can get something going. Because being able to actually have something out of the pea soup level of the atmosphere is a huge blessing, even if we do still have to ship things up to it. But we can do that in like huge batches, so that's not too big of a problem. And my waypoint has gone. That's not helpful. So let's add them in for here. Okay. Still miles from it, so... Well, more than a few miles, actually. Let's see, it's 2450 meters... 26... 269... 2948... Yeah, we can, as long as we have some fuel on the ship, we can probably just, shoot some stuff around and get it more, but, yeah, let's see. I mean, it's about a third of the way to the moon, so, if we get a launch pad at this station, we can just build a rocket there and shoot it off and it'll be fine. Altitude there is 11,000, this is 2, so, yeah, actually it's a bit more than it's a bit less than a third. But, yeah, we are happily pointed towards where we need to be. And I think we're now at the stage where this will not implode if I time accelerate. Also, we're out of gravity, so we shouldn't have to worry too much. Out of gravity and we're not accelerating. Okay. Whoop, there goes Kerbin. Whoop. Whoa, 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 whoa. I need to stop burning right now because I went a little fast. Okay, and there it goes. Bring up the nav ball. And we are out of Delta V because we are out of fuel. So we'll keep this rocket attached now. It's got a decoupler so I can jettison it later. But we can shoot something up here later to just attach a connector and refuel it a bit. Get us some more Delta V there. But that, I think, will be it for today. So you've seen the K-Hunter has been revised and is now working quite nicely. And you've seen that we're starting to build our geostationary space station, where we can hopefully start to actually like build rockets on site and have a space dock. So that'll be fantastic. That's it for today. I shall catch you next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and or favorite. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to be notified of future updates. You can also check out the website where most other content is uploaded. That's all for now. Catch you later.